Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki Boutin design team, and this week we still continue working projects that deal with Vicki's Artful Techniques. She has a prompt around 50 techniques, so I'm gonna pick a few of them to create this project. And in all honesty, I started with no idea in mind, just that I wanted to play with mixed media. It was one of those days that mixed media is very how am I gonna put it? It's really nice for my soul. So what I'm going to do is add something that kept calling my name was acrylic, circles, cut it up, texture, always texture for me. So I've decided that I'm going to mix a few of them to create this layout. I am going to use a foundation paper for the background for this layout, but I'm also going to bring one of the pre-made mixed media pages, to create some of the circles. And again, the beauty of having these pre-made mixed media pages is that some of the work's already created for you. So I'm going to choose this one that has all those big watercolor stripes. There's light blue, some green, some teal, some navy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the circle stamps, and I'm using archival ink in black to just stamp some of those little sunbursts along the vertical line. On top of that, I'm going to use, actually this is Lagoon archival ink, and I'm gonna stamp the little hatches from one of Vicki's. These are all Vicki's past collections. And then to go on top of it, I'm actually gonna stamp the little beehive from the Wildflower and Honey collection, and I'm using light gray, and all of these are archival inks because I'm gonna add some liquid. Now because that dries right away, I'm gonna continue working, and because I'm working with circles, I'm bringing, this is one of the stencils that I think Vicki released this time around, or the previous collection, and I'm bringing the texture paste. And the way I'm gonna apply, you're gonna see that I'm pulling a little bit, I'm spreading it on my craft mat. I'm gonna go with my stencil brush. I'm gonna pick a bit of that and go in a circular motion on top of the stencil. I'm gonna stencil the circles on top of what I've already applied to the paper, but I'm only not just going on circles on top of the stencil. I'm also going to stipple some of the texture piece on top of the circles that I just kind of brushed, and that's just going to create a little bit of the extra texture. Once I have that in place, I know that I need to warm up because I think it's a little bit too green. I wanted to bring a little bit of a warm tone, so I'm going to bring, this is strawberry, sugar strawberry. This is the pigment powder. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of iridescent glaze, and I'm gonna dilute it so that it becomes fluid but not super fluid. I'm thinking the texture of acrylic. I don't want it to be something that runs. I want something just that's gonna splatter nicely. So you're gonna see that I've mixed the powder with the iridescent glaze, and I'm gonna dilute it, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit extra powder just to make sure that it's not gonna be too pale. I want it to show when I splatter on the paper. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add splatters throughout the line or that little column where I added my layers of mixed media. So it's quite a few layers of mixed media, and then I'm gonna set it aside to dry completely before I continue working with this. So while that is drying, I'm gonna start working on the background for my layout, and I wanted to pick a color that was gonna make everything stand out, and I thought about black, but I didn't feel like adding black. And trust me, black is something that I always go back to. So I'm gonna choose this blueberry pie pigment powder. These are the ones that Vicki just released with the Wildflower and Honey collection, and I'm gonna use quite a bit of the powder. I'm gonna dilute it, and then literally I'm gonna add splatters. You're gonna see that I'm gonna bring a piece of plastic just to create what Vicki calls the kissing technique. I'm just gonna kind of help me smoosh the color, and I'm gonna create, think of a little rhomboid shape on the side of the page. And I flip the paper just so it helps me work, but in reality I'm gonna make sure that what I'm creating right now is gonna be on the left hand side of the page. I'm just gonna move the paper so that it's so I don't have to drag the paint throughout the page and kind of splatter paint all over the paper. I want to try to keep it as white as I can. So I'm just gonna see that I'm gonna add splatters of the mix that I created. In this case, is watercolor. I'm just adding splatters and helping them move by using the plastic. I'm gonna kiss the plastic onto the paper. I'm gonna smoosh some of the areas. I'm gonna keep adding splatters. I'm gonna make sure that the area that I add the watercolor, it's wide enough to cover a 3x4 size picture. So make sure that a little bit, it pops from behind the picture. I don't want to completely hide it. Once I'm happy with that area, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna add a little few splatters onto, like I said, think of it as a rhomboid. I'm gonna add it onto the right vertices of the rhomboid, kind of across to it to the other side of the page. And you're gonna see right now just adding the splatters on the edge of the page so that I can connect the two lines. This is one of these designs that I love. I love having something that connects each other, and for that, repetition is key, just to bring, like, a little bit of the background onto that part of the layout too. So once I have all this in place, I'm gonna make sure that I put it aside to dry completely before I can continue on. And one thing that you probably didn't notice is that I did not add yet, so on my page is just foundation paper that I'm working as this, but I'm not adding that much water. So while that is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and use this die set, and this die set is from Altenew. It's just the half-tone circles from Altenew. So I'm gonna use see the medium and smaller sizes to cut that entire column of mixed media that I added onto the pre-made mixed media paper, and I'm gonna set that aside to dry. And I went to look for pictures that I can use for this, and I actually really love this picture. This is one that I took of my cousin a couple years ago. It's gonna be 2 years actually, with her daughters, and she's a single mother, and the relationship she has with her kids is very similar to the relationship my mother had with my sister and I. And she always, even though my mother was married, she pretty much raised us as a single mother, because my father was never in the picture. So the relationship is very parallel. So I love this picture. So I went and pulled it out, and I debated about cutting into a circle, but I'm gonna keep it as a rectangle. And all I'm gonna do right now, you're gonna see me, is I'm playing with the circles just to give me the idea where everything is gonna sit. They're not gonna sit the way they are right now, but just the shape that I want to create. Once I'm happy with what it looks like, I'm actually gonna add another layer of mixed media just to bring some of the pink that I added on the circles. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of rose gold glaze onto the page. I'm gonna use the same circle stencil, but the way I'm gonna do it is, again, I'm gonna spread a little bit of the glaze on my mat. I'm gonna pick up the glaze with my stencil brush, and I'm gonna go in a circular motion, and I'm gonna stipple a little bit of also the paste on top of the circles that just are stenciled. This is gonna give me the extra texture, and you're gonna see that I'm not gonna cover the entire area. I'm just gonna add it in certain places, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna create that rhomboid shape. You're gonna see that when I get to the center point, or the vertices, that kind of extended so that I can connect it to that edge, the little mixed media patch, I'm gonna call it, that I have on the edge of the paper. And then once I have that in place, I'm gonna set it aside to dry. It took no time because it's such a thin application. But while that happens, I'm just gonna go ahead and actually back the picture with this paper. This is from the 6x8 paper pad, and it's black, but it has a few lines of pink and some florals, which I think is gonna bring all the colors that I'm gonna use here. And I'm gonna use the pink, that corally tone, to be, I'm gonna say, to pop throughout the page and create my focal points. So right now that I have everything in place, I've added that piece, that Today ephemera piece comes from the Journaling Spots from the Wildflower and Honey collection. So I'm just gonna create a layer behind the picture with it. I'm gonna add some foam adhesive behind it, and then I found this piece of this ephemera circle that says your story is unique, and I'm gonna use the die just to take all the white piece of the white edges of the circle. I just thought it was too big for what I have already. It was bigger than the circles that I have. And all I'm gonna do right now, you're gonna see, is I'm just gonna start moving the pieces on the circles that I have around, just to create a cohesive look. It looks messy. You might think I actually like it. I love the fact that it looks kind of messy right now because everything is flat. So to avoid looking just like one big blur, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start playing with some dimension. And for that, I'm gonna bring a little bit of foam adhesive. I'm gonna add some glue dots behind some of the circles. Some of the circles are gonna be glued straight onto the background, and some of the circles are going to be propped with a little bit of foam adhesive, different widths or different heights or different thickness of foam adhesive, so that there's different levels on the circles. And then that's just going to help me break the monotony of the color and also the shapes. And you're going to see it's going to come together quite fast right now because I just have everything already ready and I have the idea cemented on my brain. So it's all about mixing and matching, moving some pieces. You already saw the formation, so when I take it off camera, the only thing that you're gonna realize is that there's a piece on the paper that had like kind of an olive green paper. So when I added the pre-mixed media background, there was a strip of the mixed media had like an olive green tone. So I'm gonna try to make sure that the circles that I cut out of that paper kind of I splattered in 3 different areas, so that it helps me create my visual triangle. Once I have that in place, you're gonna see right now all I'm gonna do is just glue the circles. And just to embellish this layout, it was actually quite easy, because I went and looked into all the stickers and all the ephemera pieces that had that coral pink tone, and also things that had a rectangular shape. Just to, like I said, break the monotony of a circle, I'm gonna introduce some rectangles also, because the picture is a rectangle. So one of the things that I also, to connect the 2 sides, that little patch of mixed media that I have on the right hand side of the page, I'm gonna use one of the banners. And then in the chipboard there's this pink banner, so I thought it was perfect because that's the color that I want to use as an accent. And then, like I said, I'm gonna use some rectangular shapes also. I'm using the chipboards just to continue the idea of the rectangular shape, and then lots of circles of this. Like I said, there's a few circles that you don't see right now. They don't look that prominent, but they're actually the same shape, the same color as the background, and they're from the cardstock stickers. And then, but you can see the pink ones, and they're also, all of these embellishments come from the Wildflower and Honey collection. So all I did is just scatter them around, and I added my lines of journal outside of the camera. I love how this turned out, and like I said, mixed media for me is therapy. I just took one morning and just created away, and there was something about, like, seeing that picture of my cousin that just brought good thoughts to my mind. And I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I would love to give you a hand. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, it's a pleasure to create this for you, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys.